lots. He mastered all of these and blazed a trail through swamps and rocks using chalk and cheese.
4,000 miles of waterways were dug by Brindley's men. The cost of transport fell by half, and Britain ruled again. Hooray! Josiah Wedgwood took Jen's hand and went down on his knees. He said, I think it's proper grand to dig with chalk and cheese. Oh,
chalk and cheese, he worked with chalk and cheese. Tunnels, sluices, pumps and wells, harness in the breeze. Bridges, aqueducts and locks, he mastered all of these and blazed the trail through swamps and rocks using chalk and cheese.
When Brindley died, God met him in his workshop in the sky. He showed him how the fishes swim and how the eagles fly. Just tell me one thing, Brindley said, how did you make the seas? And God replied, I used my head and lumps of chalk and cheese. Come on!
Chalk and cheese, he worked with chalk and cheese. Tunnels, sluices, pumps and wells, harvest in the breeze. Bridges, aqueducts and locks, he mastered all of these and blazed the trail through swamps and rocks using chalk and cheese.
Again!
Chalk and cheese, he worked with chalk and cheese. Tunnels, sluices, pumps and wells, harvest in the breeze. Bridges, aqueducts and locks, he mastered all of these and blazed the trail through swamps and rocks using chalk and
How did cheese get into it? I'll explain. When Brindley went to Parliament in order to get permission to build his aqueduct, instead of taking them a set of drawings to show what his plans were, he produced a very large round of Cheshire cheese. He cut it in half and turned each half on its edge, side by side, and then he took a large trough, clay-lined, put that on top of the two halves of cheese, puddled the clay, then filled that with water. Do you get the idea? Cheeses are the arches, and the trough is the canal that runs across the viaduct. Simple. The Barton Viaduct carried the Bridgewater Canal over the River Irwell and transformed the economics of the region. It transformed Brindley from a rough northern millwright into a national engineer. They had sneered at his schemes and called the aqueduct, that's a castle in the air. But he built it. The day they filled it with water nearly destroyed his reputation. An arch started to buckle under the weight of the water. Brindley had an anxiety attack, or maybe he just wanted time to think. So he retired to a bed in a local pub. But luckily, colleague John Gilbert saved the day, diving into the water with a few trusty diggers and removed excess clay. The aqueduct worked. Coal flowed into Manchester, became cheap. Overnight. The mills flourished on cheap coal, and the money siphoned effortlessly into the capitalist pockets. The Industrial Revolution took its giant leap into the future. Brindley solved problems that nobody else knew existed every day, in bed or out of it. He didn't go to bed just to cure panic attacks. In fact, he found bed was the place to solve problems. If he wanted to think, the place was to go and lie down. Well, sometimes for days on end. But when he got up, he had a plan, a scheme. And generally speaking, the schemes worked. So he earned the name Schemer Brindley. Well, not underhand scheming, but grand schemes. His imagination and ambition knew no bounds. As he lay in bed and schemed, he also dozed and dreamed, and he dreamed as he dozed. Water. He spent his life with it, wrestled with it. He tried to tame it, moved it around, ironed it flat when he went wrinkly. Water goes everywhere except where you want it to. Oh, that's the thing. Some things leak. That's where puddling comes in. In case you're wondering what puddling is, it's a technique of working wet clay into a smooth layer that holds water. You can tamp it with a flat board on the end of a pole. You could get your navvies to walk about on a pile of it, spread it out on the bed of the canal before they get in and they put the water in. Or if you're lazy, you could drive a herd of cows and let them wander about a bit. It works. Mostly Brindley's canals didn't leak. And now, though, it's time for Brindley's great dream, his great scheme, the Grand Cross. He knew his watercourses, his river valleys. He knew how the country was laid out, where the rain ended up after it fell. He knew where the watersheds were, what happened when you moved from Staffordshire into Cheshire, from Cheshire into Shropshire, from Lancashire into Yorkshire. So he thought of a cross. Connect Stoke to the sea, not once, but 4 times. A canal to follow the Trent Valley, taking goods from here to Hull and the northern Europe. After a few miles along that route, ignore the bend to the left of the Trent, head straight at Shelburne for the River Severn, the Bristol Channel, Africa and the East. Alternatively, from here in Stoke, head north. Drill through a hill in Cheshire, head for Liverpool, the Mersey, the Americas, via the Thames and London. Simple. He got together with Josiah Wedgwood in the Leopard Hotel in Burslem in 1765, made plans, and they set about it.
Down the river, oh down the river, oh down the river we go, we go. Down the river, oh down the river, oh down the river we go. Viva la, viva la, viva l'amore, viva la, viva la, viva l'amore, viva la, viva la, viva l'amore, viva la compagnie.
It took years, and Brindley was dead, gone before his Grand Cross was completed. He lived to see the route open from Burslem to Bristol and beyond, but the other 3 arms were only finished by the teams that carried on. Produce from all over the world arrived everywhere in the country, carried on Brindley's water. Rain that fell on the Roaches flowed down the small stream of the Trent to Stoke, powering watermills. Then it replenished the canal that ran to near Derby before rejoining the Trent, now a great river. Barges carried on down the river to the shallow, muddy waters of the Humber, and on across to the open sea, wherever the winds of the world would take them. Brindley's dozing dreams had taken liquid shape. Britain was a nation of the sea. Brindley tied it all together with plaited ribbons of water. Horsepower moved the narrow boats and barges, and wind carried sailing ships onwards. James Brindley was an engineering genius. What he did is all around us. You can't walk 5 miles in North Staffordshire without tripping over Brindley's legacy. The canals, the locks, the reservoirs, the mills, the mines that surround us. Some living still, some filled in, collapsed, lying beneath our feet. The Village Voices Choir, sitting here, actually meets to sing in a room built on the filled-in bed of the Newcastle Canal. Brindley's Harecastle Tunnel, cut from Kidsgrove on the Cheshire side of the Harecastle Hill through to Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, is closed now. But it was his masterwork. Nothing like it had ever been done before. Now the boats stream every day through Thomas Telford's replacement tunnel, which runs next to it. Or you can look into Brindley's tunnel in Kidsgrove, but it can only carry the ghosts of boats now. But once, it was the wonder of the age. Brindley didn't live to see the tunnel completed, as he didn't see many of his dreams bear fruit, but he lives on. His greatest genius was in teaching, in team building. His relatives, his pupils, assistants carried on after his death, as if nothing had happened. His teams of navvies drilled and dug on. The waterways finished by Brindley are measured in hundreds of miles. Waterways made by his followers are measured in thousands. Throughout the world, his people went, flourishing, digging, blasting, through Europe, through Asia, and especially to America.